Jonathan Krause here at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. And as many people in Northeast Wisconsin know, there's a long heritage of the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin, especially the city of Ripon. And I'm joined now by Mandy Kimes, who is with the Little White Schoolhouse.
Yes.
You've brought a replica of the building that sits in the city of Ripon and claims to be the birthplace of the Republican Party. So for our viewers, give us the nutshell version of how the GOP came to be in Ripon.
Yeah, so in 1854, the issue of slavery was rising right to the top of our American citizens' minds, and there was a Kansas-Nebraska Act that was proposed to the Senate, which would nullify the Missouri Compromise, allowing slavery to move into the northern and western territories. And a group of concerned citizens met at first in the end of February at a local church, and they said, if this is to pass Senate, they came up with a resolution that said, we will meet again, and we will unleash a party like the nation's ever seen. And so sure enough, on March 3rd, it did pass the Senate, and a call went out in our local newspaper to gather at the Little White Schoolhouse. The schoolhouse was obviously used for education, but it was also a place for community gatherings. And so on a cold winter night in the middle of, ordinary Wisconsin, a group of men gathered, and by the end of that meeting, they went from representing various political parties like the Whigs and the Democrats and the Free Soilers, and they decided to cast aside their allegiance to that party and come under the name and the banner of the Republican Party.
As for the schoolhouse itself, is it the one that they met at, or has it kind of been rebuilt over the years?
It is the original building. It's definitely been kept up, and so every repair has been done with as much historical accuracy as possible, but it is the very building where they met 170 years ago.
We should mention it's been moved from its original location due to some other development in Ripon.
Yeah, actually, this is the 6th time. It hasn't been at its original location since like 1860, and so we're moving a historic building is a lot of work, and we're glad that where it is now provides a lot of accessibility, visibility. We just have so many people who see it for the first time and come and visit, and so it's doing really well in that location.
Mandy Kimes joining us here from the Little White Schoolhouse. Now, you've brought a replica. Obviously, this isn't full size. What went into the construction of the replica that you travel with?
Yeah, so actually decades ago, we had many different iterations of replicas, but they fell into disrepair. And so just this winter, I reached out to our high school students, and I commissioned them, as you would say, to rebuild a replica. And so they came out, they measured, and this is exactly 1/3 the size of the schoolhouse. And so our high school students are so proud of what they've done, and it's already been in 3 parades, but I don't think they could have imagined that we would be bringing it to the RNC and that so many people would get to see it.
So I know there's a lot of people who have visited other places in the country that also claim to be the birthplace of the GOP. It's kind of like the hamburger with Seymour, the ice cream sundae with Two Rivers, lots of controversy.
Oh, yeah.
So how often do you hear from folks who say, that's not actually right?
We actually have people who visit all the time who've either they're from those locations or they've visited them. And so what we say is that we are just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to the history and growth of the Republican Party, but we're also really proud to say that we are the first. And so historians, presidents, Congress even have declared that Ripon is the birthplace because it was that first local meeting where the name Republican was adopted and the first committee was formed. And so we know that Jackson, Michigan had the first state meeting, that Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania had the first convention, and we have met with people even here today from Michigan who got to visit there on their way up to the convention. And so I think they understand that there's lots of room for all of us to celebrate the history, but we're really happy here in Ripon to say that it was us first.
Historic buildings don't maintain themselves. How can people help out to make sure that that piece of history is preserved?
Yeah, we're actually fundraising to protect and preserve the schoolhouse right now. And so we need lots of help from people who care about preserving history. And our website is just lwsh.org. So if you want to get involved, there's a donate button, but also reach out to us. We'd be happy to tell you more about the project.
Mandy Kimes, I appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the week here at the RNC.
You too. Thanks so much.